Hello dear students, and welcome to a new episode from grade 10. In today's episode, we will be discussing a new unit. We will start with unit 7 from the second term. So please stay with us, and we will be back after the break to discuss some vocabulary words and set book questions. Welcome back, dear students. As I said earlier, we will be discussing Unit 7 from Module 3. So we will start by having some vocabulary words and then some exercises related to these words, and then after that, finally, we will have some set book questions. So let us all together start with the first vocabulary words, but I would like to ask you a few questions before. Okay. I want you to answer this question before we start discussing our new words. How could people cook and have light in their homes in the past? So, your grandparents, for example, how did they cook without having electricity? Well, they used coal to feel warm, and they used also wood to make fire. So, they used things from nature. Natural things, natural sources of power. So, for example, the coal and the fire and the wood, they are natural sources from the nature, natural sources of power. Okay? Now, I have another question also. What do we need to have lights in our houses at the present time? So, what do you think? Having lights for what? Well, we need electricity, we need gas, and we need petrol. Of course, all of these, we need them. Now, nowadays, sometimes we rely on the natural sources in the nature. But I want you to think during our lesson, what if these natural sources, they disappear? What will happen? So we will discuss that later, but we will start now with the new lexical or vocabulary words. Okay, let's see this picture together. You can see here we have some kind of a liquid. And this liquid, it has two colors, which means this liquid is separated. It's not mixed up together. So, here they are doing the process of refining the liquid. Refining the liquid. For example, we drink water that we take from the sea, but we don't drink it with the natural salt or directly from the sea. No, it has to be what? It has to go through refining. So refining is a noun, and it means making something pure or improve something, especially by removing unwanted material. Just like we mentioned, how to make the water from the sea pure. This is called refining. This process is called refining. So again, the word is refining. Let's read an example together. Crude oil is industrially refined to purify it and separate out the different elements such as petrol. So here they are refining the crude oil, the oil that is taken from the ground, and they make it to other kind of things. Now let us move to the other word we have for today, and let's see this picture. So here we have something that is burning, okay? And we have the word crude oil that I just mentioned earlier. Now, crude oil, when they get the oil from the ground and it is just taken out from the ground, it's clear, they did not do anything to it, they did not change it, they did not purify it. Well, this is called the crude oil. That is what? Let's read the definition. Oil in its natural state that has not yet been treated. It's in its natural state. So again, the word is crude oil. Again, the word, let's read it together. Crude oil. Good. Let's read the example. Crude oil is refined to make many products such as gasoline, petroleum, and diesel fuel. Okay, so the crude oil is the oil in its natural state. Good. Now, We have a word here which is an adjective. We have the word finite. Finite. Now, when something has a limit or has an end, we say that this thing is finite. For example, when we talk about sources of energy, we say that these sources of energy, they have an end, especially the natural ones. Maybe one day the oil will disappear. So the oil here is a finite source of energy. The opposite of finite is actually infinite, but today here we have the word finite. So again, the word is finite. Let's read the example together. Oil is a finite source of energy, so we should find out or find other sources. So finite means it has an end or it has a limit. Good. Let's move now to a new word. What do you see here in this picture? We have what? Kind of some rocks. Actually, this is fossil fuel. The word here is fossil fuel. So what is fossil fuel? It's a noun and it means fuels such as gas, coal, and oil, which were formed underground from plant and animal remains millions of years ago. So these remains from the animals and the plants, they are there from probably millions years ago. They are what? They are formed under the ground, and they then what? Such as gas, coal, and oil. We call these what? We call them fossil fuels. Excellent. Fossil fuels. Now, let's read the examples. Fossil fuels are the main source of petrol, or the burning of fossil fuels cause a lot of pollution. So the word here is fossil fuel. So it is a natural source of energy. It's there in the nature. Okay. Now, let us see this picture. You remember we said that when we want to purify the water, they purify it in some kind of a way. Okay, they refine it, refining. Now, we have something here similar, but in this case by boiling the liquids. They boil the liquids and then they are separated by boiling. Well, this process is called fractional distillation. Fractional distillation. So the process of fractional distillation is the chemical process of separating different substances that have different boiling points by heating a liquid mixture. So by heating a mixture, a liquid mixture, you are what? Separating the elements. This is called what? Fractional distillation. So the example here, fractional distillation helps to separate gas, oil, and fuels by, of course, as we said, boiling them under a certain temperature. Okay. Now, let us move to a new words. You see in this picture here, we have what? What do we call them? We call these robes. Okay, we have robes. Now, these are actually, we call this material that the robes here are made of polymer. We call it polymer. So polymer is a noun, and it means a chemical substance consisting of large molecules made from many smaller and simpler units. So from this chemical substance, we can make robes and other plastic and other materials. For example, here, let's read the example. Many polymers such as nylon and plastic are artificial. So like the nylon or the plastic, they are artificial. They are made up from what? From polymers. Many polymers, which is a chemical substance. Excellent. Okay. Before continuing to our words of this lesson, let's have some exercise. Let's see now if until now you understood the words we learned together. Let's answer. Here we have the words we learned today, and we're going to have some spaces to fill. So let's read the first one together. The first one says, the characters of the new film are fictitious. So what do you think here the answer should be? We have polymer, crude oil, fractional distillation, entirely, fossil fuel, and finite. So Let's see the answer together. The answer is entirely. Entirely. Good. Now let's move to the next one. The Ministry of Health can buy new drugs because the funds available are what? They are infinite, they will last forever, or they may end up. So the answer is excellent, finite. It means they have a limit or they have an end. Good. Let's move to number 3. We can manufacture plastic from, do you remember the chemical substance we mentioned? What is it called? It is called polymer. Excellent. And we said from polymer we can do plastic or other kind of materials. Good. Number 4, companies refine to get petrol, polymers, and tar for roads. They refine what? The thing that we get from underground in its natural state. Crude oil. Excellent. So companies refine crude oil to get petrol, polymers, and tar for roads. Excellent. Now, we have 2 more sentences to answer. Let's see together number 5. Is the process by which oil is split into many different types of oil. So what do you think the answer here is? Try to think for a couple of seconds. Excellent. Fractional distillation is the process by which oil is split into many different types of oil. Okay, that is correct. Excellent. Now we have the last one, number 6. Are formed from the remains of living organisms. So, what do you think here? We said from millions years ago, okay, we have things under the ground coming or left by plants and animals. We call them fossil fuels. Excellent. So the word here is fossil fuels. Good. That is great. You're doing great until now. Now let us move to new words. And just to mention that the first words we took for today were from lesson 1 and 2. And now the words we're going to discuss are from lesson 3 in the workbook. So let us start here by looking at this picture. You can see here we have the sea, and we have something under the sea, and also something what? We can see it. If we are, for example, let's say in a boat, we will be able to see it. But can we see the things under the sea? No, they are invisible. We cannot see them. Also here, this is a wave farm. We call it a wave farm. So can we see it? Can we, if we are in a boat or if we are in, for example, fishing, can we see these things under the sea? We cannot. They are invisible. So here we have an invisible power, a power that you cannot see if you are standing on the ground or if you are in a boat. Okay, so here we said the wave power, and here we have the wave farm. So they are all invisible. We cannot see them. So the word here also, invisible power, this is another kind of invisible power. So a third kind, this is of course a wave hub. This is also another type of invisible power. So the previous pictures, they are all what? Invisible sources of power. So invisible is an adjective and it means can't be seen. You cannot see it, something that is invisible. For example, we can say microbes and viruses are invisible. So we cannot see them. Can you see microbes when looking at them? No. Well, they are what? Invisible. Great. Let's move to the next word, which is megawatt. From listening to this word, you know that it's related to a power. Well, actually it is a unit of power that equals 1 million watts. So the 1 million watts, is what? Is megawatt. Okay, the 1 million watt is megawatt. The wave hub can produce 30 to 40 megawatts of electricity every year. So this is an example sentence on how you can use the word megawatt. Good. Now, let's move to the next word, which is resolve. Now, resolve is a verb that means to solve something. So to resolve, to settle or find a solution. So when you try to find a solution for something, you are resolving it. So we can say the problem was resolved by negotiation, which means by talking and discussing. Good. Now, the next word we have, which is also a verb, is the word spoil. The word spoil. Spoil means to damage or destroy the value of something. For example, your little brother played with his toy until he spoiled it, until he ruined it. So spoil means to damage or destroy the value of something. So to ruin or to destroy or to damage. For example, the bad weather spoiled our holiday, damaged our holiday. The same thing. So let's say the word again together. The word is spoil. Excellent. Now, we have here an adverb. It ends with an ly. It's an adverb, which is the word actually. Actually. Now, actually it means as a truth or facts of a situation. Now, when we read the example now, you will understand the word more. Computers are everywhere. They are actually useful. So it's like you are confirming or giving a clear idea about something. So as a truth or facts of a situation. Good. Now, you can see in this picture, we have different devices. We use them at home. For example, the oven, the fridge, the iron, and also maybe a microwave. All of these are devices. We use them at home. So we call them appliances. Appliances. So appliances is a noun, and it means devices or pieces of equipment designed to perform specific tasks. So these devices, we use at home. They do certain tasks, so we call them appliances. Appliances. Excellent. So let's read the example. We bought a wide range of kitchen appliances. Kitchen appliances. Good. Now, the next word is to generate, a verb, generate. Well, generate means to make electricity. So, for example, if there is a company or there is an institution or a ministry where they produce and give us electricity, so we say they generate electricity, of course, through certain machines. So, generate means to make electricity. Let's read the example. 75% of France's electricity is generated by nuclear reactors. So here we use the word generated as in the past tense, generated. The past tense of the verb generate. Okay. Now we're seeing here a picture of a man driving his car. So when you drive your car, we say that what? The activity of driving the car, when you are driving the car, the activity here is called what? Called motoring. Motoring. So you have a motor, you are motoring, you are driving, the activity of driving a car. Let's read the example here. Low motoring costs lead to crowded streets. So here we use the word motoring, and of course it is a noun. So the word again is motoring. Good. Now, we see here a picture of a very famous cartoon character. Of course, he is Superman. So, what do we know about Superman? Is he weak, or he can fly, and he is brave and strong? So, here Superman is known to us as a cartoon character that he is what? He is very strong. So, the word here, strong, means great or powerful. So Superman is a powerful man. So here the word is strong, which means powerful or great. And of course it is an adjective. We use it to describe nouns as being brave or great and powerful. Good. Let's read now the example here together. The little boy can't lift that box as he is not strong enough. He is not strong enough. Good. Now that we have discussed our vocabulary words for today, and we mentioned that they are from Unit 7, both lessons 1, 2, and 3. Now, we're going to have some set book questions related to our lesson. As we mentioned earlier that all of these words are related to talking about different sources of power. And most of them were actually natural sources of power. And then we mentioned how we can use the invisible power from like the waveform or the wave power. So let's answer now the question so together you and I can understand our unit more and the subject of our unit, which is the alternative source. Good. Now let's read the first one. Answer the following questions. There are many sources of energy. Mention some. So can you mention some sources of energy we use? Just from our daily life. Think of when you drive the car or when you provide the car with petrol. So coal, oil, and solar energy. Solar energy, of course, means the energy coming from the sun. So coal, oil, and solar energy. Good. Let's move to question number 2. Different types of oil serve different purposes. Explain how the different types of oil can be used in different purposes. How can we use them and in what? Crude oil can be made into petrol for cars. Of course, the crude oil, we said that it's the oil that is in its natural state, taken from the underground and had not been changed or nothing added to it. So the crude oil, we can do it as what? It can be made into petrol for cars, for driving the cars. Also, tar is used for roads and polymer is used for making plastic. So all of these are made from the crude oil. So these are the different types of the uses of the oil. Number 3. The use of oil and fossil fuels causes damage to the environment. How? Well, when you drive the car, what comes from the back of the car and what does it do to the environment? This is related to our question. What is the damage? Well, smoke from vehicles, factories, and power stations causes pollution. So they harm the environment. They cause pollution. And then the pollution can cause some serious diseases. Also, cars and factories increase carbon dioxide, which causes global warming. So not only to our health, but also destroying the nature, the global warming that is happening in the universe. Now, we have our last question here. What energy sources will the world still rely on? Now, what do you think we will be still relying on and we cannot not use? For example, let's say, can we live without petrol? Or can we live without oil? Can we live without, for example, coal? We can say the world for now will still be relying on gas, oil, and coal energy sources. So until now, we are using all of these finite sources of energy. But think if one day these sources of energy end up. What will happen? So try to think of this and we will discuss it in the next lesson. So until here, we have reached the end of our lesson. Thank you for watching and we will see you next time.